Hello everyone, welcome back to another Friday and another casual champion review. It's a good day today. We're playing Chip's father, the big boulder, good old David Rockman. Playing AP today, unfortunate considering the team is a lot of tanks. Kind of just one person I'll be able to one-shot, so we'll see how this goes. But I am an advocate of AP Malphite. I think if you have the option, why would you ever go armor? It's so much more boring. He's already kind of a boring champion. But this is how you make him fun. You know what else is fun, though? Fan art section. Look at those David Rock. Those Rock. Normally, you know, I do love the fan art stuff. Is just somehow combining me with the champion or being with the champion. But I'll let it slide this one time. Look at all those chips. The bestest lad. Oh, my son. I am claiming custody. He is my son now. I am taking... Thank you, fellas. Thank you so much for all the wonderful artwork. You're amazing and awesome, and I remembered to record it this time. Yippee! Malphite's going to be kind of an interesting character to talk about. One, because of just how awful he looks, but also because he's kind of an enigma of a champion. I still remember back in the old days, I think the monolith was just an actual place, and Malphite was just one of a species of rock creatures. I mean, a lot of champions in the old lore were just aliens or alternate dimension creatures, but in the current lore, he is the shard of the monolith. And what's that? Well, we have to go back to the ancient times of ancient Shurima and ancient Ishtal as well, because this was after the fall. Like how Gecko Enter the Echo just fell. It was after the fall of Acathia, the big void corruption that happened there was unleashed onto Runeterra, and eventually it started to spread out into the rest of Shurima, eventually reaching the borders of Ishtal. So along comes this guy, Nazook, who you might have heard before. He has connections to Malphite, that was added in later. But he does have connections to Ezreal, for, you know, Ezreal has the Gauntlet of Nazook. He has a second Gauntlet too, but he kind of yoinked that one. I think that's the one that Kassadin has. Regardless, Nazook was this arrogant, super powerful god warrior of Ishtal. I actually forgot that Ishtal did have ascended warriors, much like Shurima, and he devised a plan to get rid of the void magic that was corrupting their borders and spreading all over Shurima. So he devised a plan, assembling all the strongest elemental mages to create a weapon to fight back the void. Which, now that I think about it, it's kind of clashes with Skarner's lore a bit, because wasn't Skarner trying to fight off the void? I mean, he has a whole painting dedicated to him, but I don't think it's even mentioned in his bio. Although it would be nice to try and have Skarner and Malphite interact through their differing points of view. Nazook, with the help of his elemental mages, constructed the monolith, which was a giant floating fortress of living stone as large as a city. And these elemental mages would help power this floating fortress, and it was armed with soldiers, the army of the Astali Ascended God Warriors. And so Nazook, as cocky and arrogant as he is, decides to take the monolith into battle to go fight the void, and it doesn't end as swiftly as he'd hoped it would. The battle went on for weeks, in fact. Thankfully, because the monolith was comprised of living stone, it was able to self-repair in a certain way. Ivern, why would you do this to me? Why watch this though? I wasn't level 6, and now I am level 6. Oldest trick in the book, baby. So after weeks of battle, Nazook launched one final attack. A final assault to get rid of the void once and for all, and and it failed miserably, much like this gank Ivern. The monolith actually ended up crashing. The hell, the Poppy supports here too? Oh dear. Oh bother. And see, it's just like the lore. As the monolith fragmented and fractured, a whole bunch of pieces of it, most of it I should say, fell into the void. The remaining pieces lodged out into the desert of Shurima, littered everywhere, but slowly tainted by the void, sapped of their magic. Except for the big rock man. Malphite here was the last remaining shard that somehow got itself buried deep underground, and because it was far away from the corruption of the void, it was able to self-regenerate. Not quite to the same degree as it would have been, you know, repairing a fortress. It started to grow into something new, and in fact started to gain consciousness. Oh, I'm out of here. I forgot to mention that Nazook was the only survivor of that conflict. All the other Ishtali God Warriors are dead, which explains why they haven't shown themselves anywhere. We don't really hear much about them, though I don't know if it was ever confirmed if Nazook had actually perished. Maybe it did in some Ezreal short story or somewhere, but let me know down in the comments, because I got to thinking it might be actually kind of fun to have this whole defected God Warrior running around Runeterra still. The last, I guess, Ishtali God Warrior running around. Could make a fun champion. Who knows? Yeah, you're laughing, huh, Marasmus? Just like the rest of you. I deserved that one. legend spread of Malphite, the bad stone, which is a Shali word for it, though I think that was more reference to during the monolith. Anyway, legend of Malphite spread all across the continent from all the way to Targon to Zaun, which there was a short story of Malphite actually under Zaun trying to squash Voidborn, because that whole purpose that Nazook granted the monolith of trying to destroy the Void still baked into Malphite's psyche. But like, how does he fit under Zaun though? We've seen him in Legend of Runeterra. He's like mountain-sized. I feel like if he moved at all, he would cave the entire city. Regardless, he's kind of just been left there. He's underground Shurima somewhere, the continent of Shurima anyway, and just try to squash the Void where he can, and that's kind of all he's been left with. Until like a couple years ago, and he got put in Legend of Runeterra, and we got a literal chip off his shoulder, which chip is actually just a piece of him that fell off and became its own sentient being. If you cut off his arm, will his arm become its own sentient being? Who knows? All we do know is that Chip is best boy, and they have a father-son dynamic, which you'd never know from his voice lines in actual League. His real personality shines in Runeterra, this kind of slow, dim-witted, but caring figure. I also find it very funny that Riot kind of knew that Chip would be an instant hit. Like, they had a Guardian ready to go. And I think he has more skins in Runeterra than most champions do. The Malphite is an ambush predator. The AD carry is its prey, and it will approach eventually. Oh, Caitlyn, you wanted to play video games when I exist? How preposterous. Cheese wheel. How could you ever play Armor Malphite when AP Malphite exists? So now that his lore's done, we can get onto his model, and what do I need to say even? There's a lot of champions in League that look genuinely awful, but like, Jesus Christ, man. Malphite is probably one of the cornerstones of the worst looking characters in the game. He has not had a design change since like 2009, since he was introduced, which is funny because he is all over Riot Games. And I'll talk about that in a bit, about the kind of shockingly high popularity and fanfare he's received from Riot over the years. AP Malphite, the fear you can inflict on a squishy is just, it's second to none. She does not even want to come anywhere close to me because she knows I'll just fly across half the screen and kill her in an instant. I mean, look at this. What are you? Oh, his spikes look like hair. His head looks like his nose. The color choice, it's the wrong kind of brown. It looks like poop. And the kind of red earth doesn't mix well with the brown. He looks like he's wearing underwear. And the craziest thing is, it's not even what he looks like in the splash. It was all according to plan. The splash art makes him look a lot more like the Wild Rift design, and thankfully that's the design they've kind of used going forward, mainly in Wild Rift, but also in every piece of promotional stuff that they have for Malphite. Even for League of Legends, they stick closer to that design. I don't blame them. He's kind of got the Nautilus problem where he's not supposed to be a... Well, I guess he is goofier than Nautilus. Malphite's still a bit lighthearted, but he's not supposed to be a pure comedy character. So unfortunately, the model he currently has gives off that impression that he's just supposed to be a derpy, silly nothing burger. Ivern, I'm so sorry. Of course, he does have the Wild Rift design, which is better, I will say. I'll probably bring up some... comparison here. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who thinks that the Wild Rift design is worse than the League one, but to me, it's like comparing a 2-week-old apple to a rotten one. The new design looks way better, but I don't think it's that much better in concept. They toned down the derpy face a bit. They add the green glow that he has in the splash art. Rasmus, I don't have my ult yet. I have it now. You know, I queued the minion because I thought it was funny and not because it was an accident. The color scheme as well on Wild Rift looks a lot more naturally earthy. He still has the different kinds of tones of earth colors, the lighter brown for the majority of his body and the darker brown for the torso, and he still has the rock underwear, which why did they keep that? The general shape language of him looks a lot more natural. Like, that looks intentionally placed. The exact patterning, the way that it is on his hands, it looks man-made, whereas the new Malphite looks like a kind of, you know, spikes that would not grow, but I guess they wither. Geology, which is funny because he has the new design that we see that he's going to get for the potential ASU that's happening, and they try to mix that in a bit. He's got symmetrical patterning, this line work going down his body, but he also has that more rough, appropriately earth looking texture to him like he does in the Wild Rift version. The difference there is that the Wild Rift version of Malphite, Are you kidding me? Oh, game number 50 million and a half. I tried to play 2 more games and they both went awful. So hopefully this one goes a little bit better, huh? Although now I think about it, it's incredibly coincidental. I have Emilio on my team and I'm fighting Nasus again. This guy's BMing me and the match hasn't even started. Yeah, take that, you stupid dog. You made me look bad. The thing I was trying to get at some like 2 hours ago is that the new Wild Rift design for Malphite is an obvious and major improvement on the base version. And it's certainly a better design if the design of the champion was supposed to be just a generic rock golem. It's certainly a much better looking rock monster. But is it that much better of a Malphite? Because Malphite implies this ancient shard of an old living fortress that came to life and regrew over centuries. And besides the green glowing in his mouth, there isn't really anything else to indicate that. Which is funny, they gave him this particle effect update and they still stuck it to being mostly red, when Ishtal is famous for green. Stupid dog. So I'd hope that when the ASU finally does arrive, that they'll try to stick closer to his Ishtal roots. It's obvious that they're not just one-to-one porting his Wild Rift model. Like I said, if you see the symmetrical patterns, it's not an exact replica of that version. So I think they're just using the Wild Rift model to help ease the process of updating him. My main concern with the Wild Rift approach that they're doing is they said that it's not guaranteed to even happen. Oh! Nice try, Erasmus. I mean, they specifically say in the update video that if it works out and if it actually does come to League, they're going to do more of it, which is very concerning because Malphite definitely needs the help. I can't see it not happening in some regard. Like, if they do all that work and then shelve it, that seems highly impractical, especially because we know that they have Malphite's, or I should say, new Malphite's voice actor on standby. Oh, Erasmus, you want that cannon minion so badly, don't you? You wanted it so badly. Because if you didn't know, the Legend of Runeterra voice actor for Malphite is the same as Volibear. And I cannot believe I didn't piece it together. I play Volibear so much, and Malphite's one of my favorite champions in LOR. But if you listen to them side by side, it's very obvious. You know, usually when Riot brings in their voice actors, they like to do some things in bulk. If they're trying to record stuff for a new skin, for example, they'll also use their voice talents to record for other things, or use their voice for other parts of Riot. Like, for example, they'll bring Brahm's voice actor in to do some stuff for Arcane or some other minor characters, but they'll also record some new lines for him, like he got those few lines in 2XKO. So the fact that they brought Malphite's voice actor back to do some more lines for Volibear in Legend of Runeterra, and the fact I'm pretty sure they brought him back to do some voice lines for the Garden Party Malphite Wild Rift exclusive. They had him in the studio, so it seems like a good idea to record some new voice lines for the boy while he's there. But it brings up an interesting question, or the enigma of Malphite is why? Why is he the one getting this ASU? And I think it's funny because I think most people don't realize it until they think about it. Malphite is very popular. He doesn't always have the highest play rate. He doesn't have like 24% like Kaisa does. You stupid dog. But he always maintains a pretty respectable play rate. Anywhere from 5 to 10% of games have a Malphite in them. But it's not just play rate. Remember I said earlier, he shows up in a lot of League promotional material. He has, you know, that season start. He was all over that last year. He gets skins pretty consistently. He was one of the first champions to get a prestige skin because they started in 2019 and he got one in early 2020. They wanted him in Legend of Runeterra so fast, they forced him into Targon. He's got a Chibi champion and he released at a time, I think, last year when Chibi champions weren't as frequent as we're getting now, and they were exclusively for only the most popular characters: your Lee Sin, Kaisa, Yasuo, Lux, and then there's Malphite there for some reason. He's always in promo art and cinematics for Wild Rift. He's one of the first few champions to be added to the game in general. He just got a legendary skin there. And of course, like I said earlier, he is the one that they are testing out this new style of ASU on, which is especially strange because Wild Rift has so many champions that they could do the same thing with. So why are they picking Malphite? So far, ASUs have prioritized two things: champions with a ton of skins and champions who are uber popular. That's why we got Ari and Lee Sin and Teemo. I don't know how you can look at all of that stacked up and think, yeah, they definitely do the same thing for Cho'Gath or Ornn or Zillion. No, they never would. They do it for Malphite because he is popular. He's one of those few champions that breaks the mold, like Thresh or Blitzcrank, that are the popular monsters. But Malphite's especially funny because he is the sleeper popular character. No one really talks about him that much aside from when he's meta, which whenever he's meta, it's usually armor Malphite because he is so simple that you can't really... I was gonna say you can't really mess up on him, but then I just missed a cannon minion. He's usually only ever a talking point because of that, or when it's hinted at that he'll be getting a model update because he looks so awful in this game. And speaking of his gameplay, he is absolute brainless mode. He is, in terms of kit, is one of the easiest characters in the entire game. I'm pretty sure he is intentionally designed to be Baby's first tank. He's one of the few champions left in the game that actually has point and click damage. All the other abilities he has are all AoE and very easy to land. Ooh, the Malphite is an ambush predator. It's not working. It's not working. I think the real funny thing about Malphite, though, is there's a lot of champions who are very boring and some who offer more variance in terms of their play patterns. Like, I'd argue there's more ways to approach a situation as Anavia. Malphite really has only one way to do things. You ult in and you throw a rock at him. He's kind of iconic in that way, though. You'd have to make Malphite interesting somehow, but how could you change him without losing what's so iconic? Ignore that. And it all worked flawlessly, all according to plan. Stupid dog. Oh my goodness. I think the one big way that you would improve Malphite would be to make him larger. I think a lot of big champions like Nautilus, Malphite, Aurelion Sol, they can't capitalize on their titanic nature because they are in a MOBA. They tried to remedy that a bit in recent years. They gave him the ability to actually scale his size with armor. I'd love if they just added that to more champions. Like, make Galio's size scale with magic resist or Skarner with health. Like, let the big champions be big. It shouldn't be a Cho'Gath exclusive. It's hard for me to commentate on Malphite's gameplay. Oh my god, this Echo is my best friend. Just kidding. The stick is my best friend. Rockin' stick or something. Cheese wheel. I should dislike Malphite for how simple he is. He should be boring. There's nothing else you can do. And yet, he's so fun. If you play AP, that is. I understand people finding armor Malphite boring. You can play 80 Malphite, though, if you want to. But AP Malphite is just always a good time. Are you kidding me? Thank you for watching this week's Casual Champion Review, everybody. See you next week. For Malzahar, I can't take this anymore. Goodbye. Ah!